Hey friend, I have a guided reading for you today. Feel free as I'm talking to gaze at the cards, see if anything tickles your own intuition. Remember, some things are going to resonate more and some things are going to resonate less, but the important part is that you're growing. Let's go ahead and get started. Today we have She of the Karak. She of the Karak is that container, the space that allows us to really kind of go through a transformation, to be able to alchemize something within ourselves. So She of the Karak brings us this emotional alchemy and intuitive guidance at this time. We have the moon. You are starting off, you're kind of in this liminal space, right? Maybe you're in some sort of new situation or in between an old and a new situation, and you kind of know where you want to go. You know what things are available to you, but maybe it's a little bit kind of distorted, right? Maybe something seems bigger than it is. Maybe something seems smaller than it is, or you can only see just a few steps in front of you. So right now you are in a space that you are learning how to navigate some depths and really explore sides of yourself. And you want to take some time to really kind of give yourself some self-care, right? We have the Queen of Pentacles. She is that self-care queen, right? Make sure that you are looking after the things that actually nurture you. Make sure you're taking the time to refresh yourself and to have fun and to be able to enjoy life in the in-between, in the moments where you're at now, so that this kind of transitional space doesn't become something that, you feel is like a drudgery, right? You want to just kind of give yourself that self-care. And you have the ability to really choose your reality, right? You understand that, like, if you feel limited, that you can unlimit yourself. We have the Eight of Swords. The Eight of Swords would be in that Rider-Waite-Smith. You see the woman, she's got the blindfold, and she's bound up and surrounded by swords. The idea here being that maybe if you feel that you're limited, or maybe you feel like something is being held back, whatever it is that you're experiencing within your new intuitional space, whatever messages that you might have received, and you're kind of, wondering why aren't they coming true, you are supposed to realize at this time that you have the ability to unbind yourself, that you have the ability to make these things a reality. Now, you are the sun, right? You've had experiences in life that have taught that you can have difficult experiences or you can have joyful experiences, that really it's up to you. And you chose joy. You choose to rebirth yourself into some new endeavor, into some new way of existing, in some sort of new way of life. And the thing is, you're still like this little baby here, right? You're still pretty new along the path. You have the joy. You have, all these things. But because you are still navigating in the energy of the moon, the sun being hidden behind the moon, for somebody, eclipses might be relevant, maybe one before or after this reading, whenever you see it. But because you're still operating in the energy of the moon, you're not always going to see things. And sometimes you're going to have a little hurt. You're going to have a little heartbreak with our Three of Swords, okay? And this is perfectly okay. This is expected, right? If you're walking around in an area where you can only see a little bit of in front of you, you're going to have things that are going to surprise you, and you're going to have things that are going to catch you off guard. But if you choose to step into this more from the Page of Cups, the Knave of Cups, then you can take that, energy, you can take the pain, whatever, you can convert it, you can channel it into some sort of art, you can channel it into some sort of creativity and self-expression, right? The Page of Cups being that artistic child, being that creative individual. So you take the thing, you take the pain, and now if you can channel that pain into something useful, or, whatever your difficulties, you channel into something useful, you get the energy of the Tower. Not necessarily that things have to blow up or have this bigger moment. You had that with the Three of Swords. Well, what I'm getting with the Tower here is that you get the epiphany, you get the download, you get the insight, you get something that you did not have previously as a result, some sort of energy having been blessed into you, having been entered into you, giving you some new ability, some new, way of approaching things, or at least that insight that really makes some sort of a game changer for you. And it might seem like it's not the biggest game changer, a little bit step back, but you go into the Two of Pentacles, all right? The Two of Pentacles right now, I see, the fairy girl, she's in this nest that she made for herself. She's got her little basket. This is, if you're coming from the Tower, out of this big thing that you'd built, this big identity you had built for yourself, and then life kind of brings you back down into a simpler, balance yourself where you are. Handle the things that are yours to handle, and don't, really step into, other areas. What happens is you get this simplicity, the energy of the Fool, right? You still have, hold on, all the nourishment and the food and the nutrients and everything, that came from that Two of Pentacles, your ability to meet your ends. But now, because you're not doing all the things, because you're not necessarily having to try to handle all the tasks and, make sure everything's this big monumental thing, you get to step into the energy of the Fool, the freshness, the renewed joy. And you find that you always have enough. You always have this Ace of Pentacles when you are able to just, take care of the things that are yours to take care of. Be free, be joyful, that life is going to always have enough for you, is always going to provide for you, and you have so much potential ahead of you, right? You are this Two of Wands, right? That would be the guy looking over, the castle wall. He's got the globe and he sees the potentials ahead of him. The two boys here, they see the potential ahead of them and they partner up. Partnership may be significant for somebody, not necessarily a romantic partnership, but that is a possibility as well. But it could just be somebody you team up with, or a friend who really encourages you, or, your spirit guides in the universe having ideas that they bring to you that you can act upon. You have the ability to meet whatever the challenges are ahead of you, right? You got that full energy you stepped into the new experiences, but you have all your skills you developed. You have your abilities as the magician. And that when you utilize these tools, maybe you're going to find that you actually are a little bit in love with the idea of being in love, right? The Page of Cups is very much that lover of life, right? You know you have potential. You know you have enough. You don't have to overstress yourself. You're enjoying life. You're just really in love with your creativity and just, being here where you are now. That emotional regulation, our King of Cups, that emotional regulation, the ability to swim with the ups and downs, because what life is going to have both of them. When you meet some sort of a passion energy, when you meet some sort of a passionate experience or something profound and powerful with like the Knight of Wands here, the Knight of Wands being that impulsive type of an energy, like you get this, maybe you have a heightened experience to where it's like, I'm the king or queen of the woodlands in this river, and, I want everybody to respect animal life or all da-da-da-da-da, and then you come down from that experience, and what does it mean? It means that you care about nature and you care about water, and maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea to see if there's any groups that you can join up and participate in wildlife conservation efforts, for example, right? Any of the bigger passionate things that we experience, when we temper them, when we bring them in with that emotional tranquility and that depth, that creates a synergy, not in the sense that it becomes bigger and more explosive, but because you're able to kind of temper your expectations, right? You have some big thing that you experience that's very important to you, but then when you move back into your regular day-to-day life and you're wondering, well, where'd the big thing go? That experience existed for the purpose of you moving in that direction. It exists for the purpose of, I care about this huge thing, and whether I can be the biggest and best in it or not doesn't matter, because it's something that I want to be part of, and it's where I feel connected and where I feel I belong. And things actually end up being more helpful for you that way. That's when you can do more good and come into the Lovers, right? The thing is, I'm not looking at the Lovers right now in terms of like romantic partnership. I'm looking at this in terms of your inner world, right? That masculine and feminine side, the mental and the emotional, right? That alchemical process. You had that passionate energy, and then you tempered it with your, that emotional depth, that connectedness, that wholeness, between the two sides of yourself. That's when you really find out who you are. That's when you discover yourself as the Hermit. And you do come back, of course, right? The Hermit goes up to the peak of the mountain to, to gain insight, and then they bring it back. You becoming whole within yourself, becoming able to balance both the masculine and the feminine, the fluidity, and then the impulse to really drive and move forward. When you come into that harmony and you know yourself, that's when you have the ability to really create your reality. Now, of course, there's going to be things that are, still going on behind the scenes, our Seven of Swords, that sneaky energy, right? Here I was talking about the Queen watering the garden, and, it's all growing around her, but she's only really paying attention to the rose here. You're going to have certain things and certain gifts that when you focus on them within yourself and you develop them, you're going to end up causing other things to develop behind the scenes too. And you're still in that energy of the moon, right? But instead of being this person who's now lost and wandering and, trying to find their way through, you come into the energy of the priestess, right? You become the master at navigating those liminal spaces, the master at navigating, being in between and holding space and holding that container for transformation. You yourself become that transformation, and that causes benefit to allow others to help with their own transformations. All right, friend, I hope this was helpful for you. If it was, I would absolutely love it if you would leave a like for me. Drop me a comment. If you don't know what to comment, you can leave a sunflower emoji. That's a spirit guide of mine. That'll let me know that you see me. Also, I have a fairy tale that I did in Tarot Now, or you could just check out my normal readings, and I will see you in the next one.